Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Break Time, the brand new podcast from Shelbourne Motors. I'm Caroline Willis, and over the next few episodes, we'll be pulling back the curtain on the stories, the people, and the passion that have shaped Northern Ireland's most successful and fascinating people. For this first episode, I couldn't think of a better guest to start with. The man who began it all, my dad, Fred Ward, who founded Shelbourne Motors over 50 years ago. Today, we are diving into his journey, from the early days in a small garage to building a multi-award-winning motor group, recognised as Dealer of the Year. We'll talk about the challenges, the triumphs, and the lessons he's learned along the way as a businessman, a leader, and a dad. So buckle up and let's take a drive down memory lane with Fred Ward. Dad, very welcome onto this podcast. So tell me, can you remember your first car?
Yes, my first car was a Morris 8, which I bought of a guy in Newry with a broken chassis. When I brought it home, I was only 17 at the time. I brought it home and with my grandfather, we tipped the car on its side and we plated the broken chassis. We had no electric drills or anything. Everything had to be done by hand, drilled by hand, bolted together. And then we cleaned it up and I sold it. And the money I made on the car was enough money for me to put a deposit down on a motorbike.
And that was another story. So tell me this here, were you a good driver or a bit of a cowboy back then?
I would have been a good driver.
No, I'll ask it again. Were you a good driver or a bit of a cowboy back then?
I was pretty fast driver.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, I know so. And the funny thing is that growing up, I think we've all inherited that adrenaline that you have for a little bit of speed as well. And going on to the speed, you had a little bit of rallying as well. So tell me about the rallying. Didn't you compete in the Circuit of Ireland a few times?
We done a few Circuit of Ireland.
Yeah. So where was that and how did that feel?
The first Circuit of Ireland I done with Bertie Fisher as my teammate, and we won the team prize out of it. And we started in Enniskillen on Good Friday, and we finished in Newcastle in Tullymore Forest. It was the last stage on the Tuesday. So it was 5 days non-stop rallying.
And that was tough as well because
oh yeah, very little sleep.
Very little sleep. Conditions probably wouldn't have been the best either.
No, you're just going flat out. And the big thing, and then we weren't allowed to use pace notes. Where if we were doing the like at Donegal International, we could use pace notes. But in the Circuit of Ireland, we weren't allowed to use pace notes. And they would have stopped you, the marshals would have stopped you at the end of different stages and searched the car to see if your navigator had pace notes.
Any contraband
Yeah,
back then. But that was in 1974. And what car did you start with?
the Toyota Celica.
Toyota Celica. Great car. And you still have that?
Yeah, well, I still have a Toyota Celica, not that one.
Not the original one.
No, that's been long gone.
And then when you did the rallying, you were back up on Sunday morning, weren't you? And you were rallying through Moll's Gap.
Sunday morning, when you in Killarney, Moll's Gap was the first stage, and it would have scared the living daylights out of you. But it was quite hairy.
Not for the faint-hearted. And the service crew back then, I always find this fascinating, this story, because these were the mechanics that you had that worked for you. So they worked all the week, and then coming up to the weekend, they were setting the car up for you then to drive at the weekends, weren't they? So they were your pit crew.
Yeah.
And it was so important to have those guys because at the end of every stage then...
They met you at the end of every stage and they checked the car over, changed brake pads, because at that time we couldn't get competition brake pads, and we were just using standard brake pads, and I could have burnt a set of brake pads out on every stage.
And that was a tough run for them as well. It was a long weekend for them too, but I'm sure they enjoyed the successes as well when you got the wins.
Yeah. It was very good.
And that's where you met Rosie Smith as well.
Yeah, Rosemary became a really good friend. And one of the highlights with Rosemary was she opened the Newry facility for us. Such
a treat to have her. Such a lady she was. She opened our dealership in 2019.
Yeah.
And she was the top Irish female driver, a real trailblazer of her time, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a great lady.
So before we chatted previously, and whilst there wasn't a light bulb moment of, I'm going to go into business, I feel the story you tell is that the business was created out of the necessity to provide and earn a wage at that time. Can you tell me how you sold your first car?
First car
so this was going back, I think it was the Morris 8, wasn't
Morris
it?
8, yeah, it was the first car, which is said was the means to an end to get a deposit for a motorbike.
Yeah, so did you advertise the car?
In the Newry Reporter.
Yeah, and somebody then came to have a look at it and bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you bought the motorbike, that was a bit of a story behind the motorbike as well, because that didn't last very long, did it?
No, well, at that time I was doing my City and Guilds at night in Newry Tech, and it was a winter night, it was very black, and I come out over the crest of a hill, and that's all I remember. They told me later what I'd done. I hit a cow, and I wakened up in hospital.
Oh dear, that's so good.
So the motorbike wrecked.
But you had to repair that motorbike. You had to repair the motorbike.
Yeah, well, I had the motorbike had it repaired. I had it in a hire purchase.
So there's no choice.
So no choice. I had to pay for it in hire purchase. I had to buy the parts of a motorbike dealer in Newry, Robbie King. I paid him so much a week till I got the parts. And the last parts I needed for it was a set of forks for the front wheel. And I remember paying him the last deposit on it to get the forks on Christmas Eve. And it was snowing, and I had to walk. I couldn't afford the fare for the bus home, so I had to walk 4 miles home, and it's snowing with a set of forks under my arm.
That's amazing, and not many people would be doing that today. So, and it was 1963 when you actually started work. And where was that?
63 I started in Shields in Newry as a shop boy. And I stayed there for 6 months. And then I got the opportunity to serve my time as a mechanic with McLean Brothers in Canal Street in Newry. Very
good. And you were earning the amazing wage of £15 a week back then. But you left there after you got your apprenticeship. You left there.
I left there and went to Morris in Bestbrook. And after serving my time, as you say, I was earning £15 a week. And I decided there's got to be more money in this. So I left there and went to Cunin Dairies in Banbridge. And I got £30 a week and a free van.
And a free van, your very first company car as such. And then it was your Uncle Sandy who then got you a start.
I left there and went to Ulsterbus. And then they decided the lorry end of it and the bus end, they divided it up. So I went with the lorry end, which was then known as Northern Iron Carriers. And I was the foreman and ran their workshop for them till I went out on my own.
And that's then was one of your other purchases, which you bought, which then really pushed you into the next business venture, wasn't it?
Yeah. The guy, Patsy McAneny from Newry arrived in this day with a Triumph Herald, and he wanted £25 for it, and I hadn't got £25. So there happened to be a driver of a van, one of the rental vans there, and he gave me the £12.50, and that started off. I bought it for £25. I took it home and repainted the bottom half of it with, in those days, an old vacuum cleaner and a spray gun. The air coming out of the vacuum cleaner, we connected a spray gun to spray the bottom half of it. And we sold it for £75. That started us off.
Brilliant. I'm sure that paint job was a pretty decent paint job back
Perfection.
then. Perfection back then. So, and that's when you saw the value in, I could actually do this.
I made more money than I was getting per week. So I thought, there's got to be a living in this.
And you're always really inquisitive, always searching out new things. You know, through the journey that we've spoke about, you growing up, and even, through business, and that pushed you then to read about the brand Toyota.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, I read, as you know, I still buy a lot of motor magazines, and there's a write-up on a Toyota Corolla, a Vauxhall Viva, and a Ford Escort Mark I, and the Corolla come out streets ahead. So I said, there's nobody about here selling those. So I found out that Neville Johnson was the agent for him in Belfast, him and Paddy Hopkirk. So I went down to see Neville, but he wasn't there. I saw the sales manager, and he says, no, we're not interested in appointing agents. So I sort of come home, and I happened to mention to the foreman of the bus end of the company that I was working for. He says, why didn't you tell me? He says, Neville's my cousin. So he arranged a meeting. So I went down and met Neville, and I came home with a franchise.
Brilliant. What a story. And again, it's all about relationships and having those allies and working with people. That's a brilliant story. So tell me, what was the first Toyota you sold then?
Toyota Corolla.
A Toyota Corolla. And where did you sell it from?
At that time, I lived in a housing estate just outside Bestbrook, and I had a lay-by with my second-hand cars in it, and I had my new Corolla. I sold the first new Corolla from the housing estate.
Brand new Corolla from that point. And that was, so in 1973 then, you were working in Warren Point, but then you then saw another opportunity.
In partnership with a guy in Warren Point, then I saw an opportunity to buy a filling station in Portdown.
But this wasn't your original idea.
No, there's a guy I was friendly with, saw it first, and he asked me to go down and look at it with him. And he didn't like it, he didn't fancy it, but I could see there's good potential in it. There's a bungalow, there's this filling station, and there's 4.5 acres of ground for £14,750. So I thought, I'll have a go at that.
And then you had to come back and tell Mum to pack the bags?
Yeah.
And move. She was moving. So again, you had to buy that site, but then you also had to then put cars on it and stock the cars. Not an easy feat.
I had a partnership to buy the site, but I hadn't enough money to stock it. So I had to borrow it of a finance company, which was called UDT at the time. And a good friend of mine, Jim Scott, was one of the reps, and he got me the money. And I think I borrowed something like 10, 15 grand off them, and I had a year to pay it back, which I did do.
You must have looked very honest. So the name Shelbourne Motors, obviously this name has started with us. Yeah. So where did this come from?
When I bought the filling station, it was called Shelbourne Filling Station. Now, the man that owned it, I never met him because he had sold it a year previous to Mrs. Sunderland. But the neighbours told me he built it after he got married, and he had spent his honeymoon in the Shelbourne Hotel in Dublin. So he must have had a good night. So that's why.
He must have had. And thankfully he chose the Shelbourne Hotel for that because it's a lovely name.
So that's how they named Shelbourne Motors. Yeah.
Amazing. And we've just kept that on, and that's been such a great
just ran with that.
Yeah. So can you tell us who drove you on to succeed?
Probably my biggest, mentor was my grandfather. He pushed me hard to do everything and do it right.
So you lived with your grandfather at that time.
He reared me.
Yeah. And he didn't let you go to school on a Monday. Can you tell us why?
He was a cattle dealer. And first Monday in the month, we would walk maybe 15, 20 cattle to Newry Fair. And it was a 4.5 mile walk from our house to the fair. The next Monday, we walked the same number of cattle probably to Camlock Fair. And the next Monday we were back to Newry, and the next Monday we were back to. You'd walk maybe, you say, 15, 20 cattle there. He sold them, and they maybe bought another 20, and you had to walk them home. So you never got to school on a Monday.
And that was the appetite then for dealing back then. That was already in the blood at that point.
Yeah, you saw it. It was amazing to see those guys dealing. They could have stood for hours fighting over a fiver.
So when did it change from a small garage into something more for you?
Well, I say when I started Shelbourne, it was quite small filling station and just one car garage, no lift, no nothing. I had to service the cars with a jack, lie underneath them and service, change oils, filters. But tried to then start looking for better conditions of dealers. So they pushed me to build a workshop. So I built a new workshop first where the rental company is now. That was my first build. And then when I got built and paid for, we built a showroom in front of that. And the manufacturer kept pushing for standards, and you had to meet the standards.
And each manufacturer has its own set of franchise standards.
Yeah.
And that's to give that high level of customer satisfaction. And when people are walking into our showrooms, it has to have a nice feel. We have to be able to sell our product in that nice atmosphere as well, which we can totally understand. But what the biggest risk with that was building that new showroom, because that was quite an investment.
That was a big investment. Probably, well, when you look back on it, it's probably a mistake. I built it in red brick. Where I had built it with block and plaster, it would have been a lot cheaper, but they decided to build it in red brick to be really fancy. They say it cost a lot more money, but I was lucky enough I had a really good bank manager who was turned out to be a real good mentor to me as well. And he kept me in the straight and narrow.
And I just got better.
When the showroom finished, I tiled it, the floor, and I thought, this is the bee's knees. And then Toyota came along and said, sorry, no tiles. We want red carpet tiles. So I had to put red carpet tiles down.
Over the top of the tiles.
Over the top of the new tiles.
So being in business with a family, not every business survives over 50 years. What's the secret?
I think the secret is hard work and treat people right. And treat people as you would want them to treat you.
So we've had lots of up and downs, thankfully more ups than downs. I suppose when we came into the business, it was very much pen and paper. There was no computers when I came into the business.
No, definitely not. At that time, I had a secretary, Carrie Pentland, as you know, and I remember fighting with her that I wanted to buy a fax machine. Just no, we don't need it. And I fought her for weeks before she'd allow me to buy a fax machine.
And the fax machine was a tremendous asset at that particular time, wasn't it?
Put the documents through it. You know, you could order cars and stuff on. But it took a long time to convince her to do that because she was the old school.
Yeah, I remember even doing the typing on carbon copy paper, and I don't even think you'd know where to buy carbon copy paper right now. So, and it was always your hope that your children joined the business.
Yeah. Well, basically, when you were growing up, that was your playground. You spent a lot of time, and when you come home from school, you had to do the petrol pumps and serve petrol. At that time, there's no such thing as self-service petrol. You serve the petrol to the customers.
I remember that very well, so I do, especially in those very cold nights. And what are you most proud of?
Just the three of you, Caroline, Richard and Paul, have really pushed the business on and got it to where it is today.
I suppose it's the same as like your grandfather. We were brought up in that wheeling and dealing, and the banter. We love that.
Yeah.
That banter going with the customers, but also building the relationships with the customers. I find that over the years we've seen so many people coming back to us, and their children and their grandchildren now coming back to us as well, which is lovely to see.
We have customers today that are with me from the first day I started.
We do.
And their kids have also are customers today as well.
Yeah, it's a real privilege to be able to talk to them about their parents and grandparents as well. And going through over the years, if you look back, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I think the best advice you have is to be honest and treat people as you want them to treat you.
And would you have taken any more chances, any more risks?
Well, you had to take chances. There's one probably regret that I do have. For a while, I dabbled in the oil market. I had bought and sold container loads of oil, and it was quite expensive buying container loads of oil and selling it again. I was afraid of it affecting my car business, so I sort of backed off it. But I often regret I didn't pursue it because it was very exciting. The last deal I done, there's a guy in Switzerland, and I sold him 1 million spark plugs.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think.
And that wasn't yesterday. That was quite some time ago, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that's 30, 40 years ago. And 1 million spark plugs. And I never saw them, but he told me it took 4 lorries to deliver the 1 million spark plugs to a guy in Switzerland.
You're always looking for the next stage.
Yeah.
And as a young lad, what were you like?
Probably wild.
A bit wild growing up, maybe? Yeah. Possibly?
Yeah, and a need for speed.
Need for speed. But you had no choice to work. And again, getting a job at 14, so you're going to the market with your grandfather on a Monday, and then you left school when you were 14 and got a job. And then that was in Uri. And what valuable lessons did you learn through that journey?
I think the most valuable lesson was respect for other people. And I met a lot of people through my grandfather, is wheeling and dealing with cattle, and I found if you were honest with them, there was the thing to be. You know, you took shortcuts, you paid for it somewhere along the line. If you were honest and you'd done the thing right, you'd have customers coming back to you.
And you've always been an incredibly hard worker. What drove you on to succeed?
I was hungry.
And also that you probably just needed to survive.
I never wanted my kids to go short. And that was the big thing. My family meant the most to me.
Well, you've definitely succeeded in that. In your opinion, being entrepreneurial, is it something you think that you're born with or something that you developed?
I think it's in your upbringing, and mine, I think it goes back, I keep harping back to my grandfather. Mine, I think, was my grandfather influenced me so much in my life. You know, and you want to succeed and have a better life, you know, than he had. You know, he was a hard worker as well, but you want to be better than that.
You also had the experience of the brand with Choda, and they were really good as well because they would have sent management teams across to look at the business and see how you could progress with that and give you inspiration as well. And that drove you on as well. Did that inspire you to grow and think bigger?
Yeah, we had some really great guys coming across to coach us, and they give you such good ideas on how to develop the business. And one of the things, and I think probably the book's still around the house, I don't know whether Richard or you have it, they introduced a book called Think and Grow Rich. And the ideas out of that book was really, really inspiring. And it made you push yourself on. And the other thing they done with no computers around at the time was a 5-year diary. And if you bought a car today, I put you down next year, for the next 5 years in the diary. So when the year was up, I'd ring you up and say, do you want to change? No. When the 2 years was up, I was back on to you. So yeah, it was sort of like a computer system when it was manual.
Yeah, exactly. And we use the same things today, really, only it's now diarised in a system for us.
Yeah.
And what would people be surprised to know about you?
That's a good question.
A lot of things, maybe. But wasn't there something that we did together as a family that inspired you? So for a long time, you couldn't swim?
No, I never had a chance. When I was growing up, there's no such thing as swimming pools or anything. But when yous were small, I remember we went one year to, where was it? It wasn't Corfu.
It's Corfu,
Corfu. And the three of you learned to water ski there. And I remember the guy saying to me, do you want to learn? I say, no, I can't swim. So never done that. But when we come home, you wanted to continue to water ski. So I bought a boat and we went, joined the water ski club in Portdown. And we went out on a Wednesday night and usually skied in the Craigavon Lakes. And there's a chap there, Franklin Lappin, and he said to me, why don't you ski? I say, I can't swim. So he says, that doesn't matter. So he took me into the floating barge we had at a clubhouse, and he put a wetsuit on me and a life jacket, and he put 2 skis, says, hop into the boat, and he went up the lake, put 2 skis on me, and I went out over the side of the boat, and he just drove off and left me there. And I was flapping and flapping. And he came back about 5 minutes later, says, that's just to prove you're not going to sink or drown. So within probably a couple of hours, I was water skiing. And then I went on to go to a monoski. And then you and the boys bought me a week with a guy in England and learned me to barefoot ski. And I still couldn't swim.
And again, this goes back to the adrenaline, that force, that, you know, because we all love it.
Yeah.
When you water ski, it's just so powerful. So it is. Even snow ski.
Yeah.
It's just the adrenaline junkie in us all we absolutely love.
No, yes. It's just the buzz you get.
Absolutely. So what's your perfect morning now?
Waking up.
So you're 82 and, you know, you're now, I suppose, retired, but you still do a lot of work in the background. And you're getting up in the mornings. You and Mum are both going to the gym. You're still playing golf regularly as well with a very dodgy handicap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just, you got to get up and go to work, do something. You can't lie about the house all day.
No, definitely not. And to try also beat Mum at golf the odd time.
Yeah.
So tell me, are you more instinct or logic when it comes to decisions?
Instinct.
Instinct every single time.
Yeah.
And have you any advice for listeners?
Just be yourself. Have no airs and graces.
And going through, you know, the whole career is just amazing. Did you ever at any point doubt yourself that this was possible or you could do it?
No. You just got up and done it. There's no such a thing as can't in the dictionary.
Yeah.
No such a word.
Well, for you, you know, you've alluded to this as well. You know, you had responsibilities, you had a family, you had to. It was the fear of letting people down, and we all have that.
Yeah.
Even today, we have the fear of letting people down.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. You a young family, and you had to feed them, and you had a lot of people working for you, and they had mortgages and they had bills to pay, so you had to keep going.
And if it wasn't the motor trade, what other profession do you think you would have loved to have done?
Don't think I'd like to be a minister.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, I don't know. I enjoy the motor trade.
And what about a professional rally driver? Would have that been on the cards?
Yeah, but you take a lot of money.
Yeah. And why do you believe in Shelbourne?
Well, it's something I created, and I want to be sort of known for, you know, started something off, and then my kids come along and build it up more.
And we have definitely built so much over the years as well. And again, it's about people buying off us because we want to build relationships with people and friendships.
Yeah.
So something more than even just selling a product. It's about friends.
Yeah, I've made so many good friends out and still have a lot of good friends today from the first day I started.
And we still, some of your original customers are still coming back today, you know, which is fantastic. It's like, you know, it's trying to be honest and sell the journey more so than the product.
There's very few businesses where you can probably say that, where the customers from the first day are still with us.
And looking back, that's the things that really matter.
And give them service that they deserve.
If you would describe Shelbourne in 3 words today, what would it be?
I'd say it's probably a great success.
And with the next generation, what do you think Shelbourne will look like? What would you like it to look like?
I'd like it to be number 1 in Northern Ireland.
And we are trying.
Yeah.
And if there's one life lesson from life and business that you'd like to share, what would it be?
Be honest and don't get it above your station.
Be humble.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of that pie, isn't there?
A lot of humble pie to eat.
And if you could bottle one memory, what would it be?
I think it would be probably opening Newry and Rosemary opening it for us. I think that's probably one of the, because I was born and reared a couple of miles out the road and I always wanted to open the garage in Newry. And that's, I think, one of the highlights.
Yeah, we tried for so long to come back into Newry, and finally
we were shut down with planners and every seemingly all different obstacles, but eventually we made it.
Well, that seems to be, in your DNA. When there's a obstacle, you seem to find a way around it.
Yeah.
So you do. So that was such a fantastic night with Rosie Smith.
Yeah.
Again, who you rallied with years ago, to be able to invite her to come along and open the dealership. Yeah. And what a fantastic night that was. And we had, I think it was over 300 people in the showroom, which is testament to the businesses and the relationships that you've built over the years of the people that have came that night to celebrate that wonderful evening with us.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It was, I say, one of the big highlights of, I'd say there's probably very few people that were achieve things like that in their lifetime.
Yeah, and it's definitely going from strength to strength. Yeah. So it is. We've got so many brands now on board, and again, that's hopefully going to get more. And again, bringing our rental into this territory with Newry, is in Portadown and Newry now. So there's lots of opportunities.
Opportunities, other places as well.
Exactly. So, that you've instilled in us the same work ethic that you were brought up with. Paul, Richard and I were asked recently our why, and our why was simple, and that was pride. And to bring this business to the level where we're driven by pride, to make you proud, and to carry on the Shelbourne that you founded. So what an amazing legacy you've given us. And for that, we and everybody around us is forever grateful. Your story is absolutely amazing. We're just looking around, and the black and white photographs, the old dealerships that we have, even in one of these photographs that we have here today is one of our original customers, Evelyn Morris, who her son is still buying off us today, which it's such a foundation that you've given us. It's an absolute honor to be doing this today with you as well. So thank you for sharing some of your story today. And I really hope that the listeners try to get a feel of where Shelbourne has came from, that it hasn't just arrived. We've been working on this for quite some time, and you've been working in the background for over 50 years. And there's been a lot of hard work and graft put into that, and a lot of sacrifices made as well. So, and you must be super proud of what you've achieved.
There's no doubt about it. Really, it's been an honor.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky to have you, Paul and Richard, in the business, and to have the staff we have today. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, we certainly, you cannot do it on your own.
No.
And it is a teamwork. And that's always been instilled in us as well. It's not you, it's everybody, and that's the way it should be. So a massive thank you, really thank you for today and for everything.
Not at all. Thank you very much.
So that's all for the first episode of Break Time. A huge thanks to my dad, Fred Ward, for joining me and for sharing so many honest and inspiring moments from his journey. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and share it with someone who loves a great success story. You can also find out more about Shelbourne Motors, our latest news, our award-winning Nissan, Toyota, Renault, Dacia, Maxus and Kia dealerships at shelbournemotors.com. Thank you for listening and join me next time as we go the extra mile with more stories from inspirational guests. Thank you.